Hey guys, it's Rich with your Monday spot on the Pagan Perspective. Please excuse my appearance. Yeah, on quarantine, didn't get a shower today, so yeah, or not yet today. Just getting some stuff done around the house, so didn't want to get a shower, and then get dirty and then have to get another shower. Anyway, y'all understand. You all know. Anyway, let's get into this. This week we're talking about past lives and paintings. This one comes from MintyDandyDannie, which I get right about 90% of the time. Um, so we've had questions from Minty before, and I absolutely love the name, but it's so hard to say because it's a tongue twister. So they write, I'm very curious about your insights into this. During my first successful past life regression meditation, I learned about a past life where I was a witch who painted intent into my paintings. I also painted curses into them, so I worry that some of these paintings are still out there hurting people. So my first question is, have you heard of a cursed painting of two Victorian women walking hand in hand across a white bridge in a springtime park? Okay, I'm going to answer that one later on because I do have thoughts on this. My second question is, have you personally or have you heard of anyone who has experienced scary past lives? How did you resolve that? Also, I have already done a Google search and came up empty-handed. That's why I'm asking if you need to know more about this past life. I have done some tarot readings for myself as well, but any other resources you can provide or recommend would be great. So I'm going to go ahead and give resources first. We're going to work backwards this week. So one resource that I have not used, but I picked up secondhand. I only spent a couple bucks on it. So anytime I see a tarot or oracle deck that is cheap enough, I'm going to buy it. My rule of thumb is usually about $10 or less. I'm getting the deck because, yeah, you really can't beat that price. And usually the only time you see prices that cheap on them, if it's not secondhand, is basically Rider-Waite Smith, which, I'll always take an extra deck. Yeah, I'll use them. Even if not for readings, for repurposing and whatnot. But anyway, I have this deck of cards here. This is a 28 full-color Phoenix cards representing the cultures of the world. It's the Phoenix Cards deck by Susan Shepard and illustrated by Tony Taylor. I have not done a review on my personal channel with this deck, and I have not used this deck yet. It's one of my newest additions, but I haven't really dealt with this. And my reason with that, and this is specifically for reading and interpreting past life influences with the Phoenix deck. So, the reason I have not really delved too much into the past lives and in connection with the Phoenix cards is because, and I've spoken on this in the past, I'm kind of afraid of what I would find out a little bit. But more so than that, knowing myself, might become a little too obsessed with my past life. I might think of myself as better than others. I might think of myself as worse than others. I might think of myself as that person more than as me. It would be very mentally challenging for me, and I'd also be afraid of kind of losing myself in that. And by that I mean I do a lot of family history research. And anytime I find a new family member that I did not know existed, I always want to know everything I can about their life. Anything that I can find in newspapers, in town records, anything that I can find in a history book, anything like that, I want to find out about this person that I am, tangentially related to. I want to find out everything about them. So I'm actually a little afraid that if I find that I am a certain person, if I get a specific name of a person, I would be afraid that I might become a little too obsessed and end up just obsessing about that past life. So I have not gotten a past life reading because of that, and maybe one day I'll get past those personal fears of mine, those personal hang-ups that I do have on it, and maybe I'll actually, now that I've had this, sorry about my phone is not on vibrate. I should take it to the front of the class. So maybe this is one of the steps that I need to do in order to, in making this video, maybe this is a step for me to actually start using this deck, to start on that journey of figuring out what my past life, or one of my past lives, was and how it's influencing me now. So maybe this is a video that actually helps me a lot more in my practice than it might be with Minty over here, because I really don't have a lot of information on this, at least not personally. As far as others, I have heard of other individuals, some of the more extreme cases of past life regressions, or people remembering their past lives, with, you know, children that have remembered their past life and remember like who they were, what they were wearing, and, you know, who killed them and where their body was buried, stuff like that. You know, I have heard of those cases, but and to me that would be kind of scary, you know, if knowing that you went down in World War II or in Vietnam or anything like that, that could be very scary for me to find that out. And, you know, in doing that, me personally, I would want to know even more about who I was in that time. So, again, my own hang-ups there. So, answering the first question, have you heard of a cursed painting of two Victorian women walking hand in hand across a white bridge in a springtime park? I have dealt with art. I don't deal a lot in art because, quite frankly, for me, art doesn't seem to sell. And I usually go towards the more weird and obscure types of abstract art. And I have not heard of this painting. I have not seen a painting like that necessarily. And I have not heard of a cursed painting that is of this depiction. I have heard of cursed paintings, and if this was a cursed painting, I probably would have heard it here or there, somewhere out there, as even being tangentially, kind of liking that word today, mentioned in a story of cursed objects or cursed paintings. I do have a fascination with cursed objects and cursed items in general. So I have not heard of this painting, and I have some thoughts on why. Now, if you were a witch in a past life and you were painting your intention into these paintings, my guess is that if you were painting positive influences into certain paintings and curses into others, they might not still be working. And the reason that I say that is, if you painted something for a specific purpose or for a specific person, it might only last the lifetime of this person that you painted it for. So in saying that, the paintings that you put out there that were cursed, me being a magical practitioner, I would say if I painted a cursed painting, or if I put a curse on an object and gave it to somebody, I would make sure that it only worked for that person. Because as long as if one person gets sick and dies from your cursed object, you know, that's a coincidence. If multiple people keep on dying from a cursed object, depending on the times, you were hung. So, as a magical practitioner, that would be something in my mind that, I don't want people to catch on to what I'm doing here. So I would put that out there as, maybe your painting that was cursed has only cursed that one person as it was intended, and the curse ran its course. I would also say that this is probably the same thing as any other painting that you would have done with whatever intentions you put in. For instance, if you were to paint me a painting and I asked you to do a prosperity painting, that prosperity painting, if you did it specifically for me and for my prosperity, then once it worked, it would either quit or it would just keep working only for me. If it went on to somebody else, it may not work for them. And again, these are certain things that in legends and folklores of today that you would definitely hear of a correlation between a painting being owned by somebody and then them getting a sudden windfall and then selling the painting and somebody else having a sudden windfall. You would hear these coincidental stories or these legends that start up behind paintings and objects like that. You would start hearing stories about this. And I haven't heard any stories about either a cursed painting like this or a type of prosperity from a painting like this. So my guess is that your past self may have only put this type of intention into the paintings for a specific person. So those are my thoughts on this. I hope that has helped, and I hope that's made sense. And yeah, I think I might go ahead and try these out. Maybe overcome a little bit of my fears here while I'm in quarantine or self-quarantine. On that note, I hope that everybody is staying safe. Everybody that is out there, I hope that not only you, but people that you know are also staying safe, are clean, have a clean bill of health, and all that good stuff. I hope that everybody is doing well, and yeah, I think I'm gonna go do a little bit more productive things in the house because that's what I've been doing, and I hope that everybody else has found this as a time to be productive in their own ways and with their own hobbies, that can be done either at home or in a quarantine environment. So I hope that everybody is kind of seeing the silver lining of this this situation, which I'm trying to. So I hope I hope everything's going good for all of you guys. So that's all that I have for this week. Until next week, may you have love, hugs, and ladybugs. Bye bye.